The March 12th Indian Head Park Village Board of Trustees meeting to order. Can we please have roll call? Clerk?
Trustee Iannaco.
Surprise.
Trustee Saldana.
Here.
Trustee Eck.
Here.
Trustee Donnersberger.
Here.
Trustee Setzka.
Here.
Trustee Gazis.
Here.
President Amy Jo Wittenberg.
Here, can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to thank you all for joining us this evening. It's finally a little light out, not quite as light as it will be in another month, but can actually see the sun at 5 in the afternoon, which is a wonderful change. A couple of items for the village president's report. If you can bring that up. We have some great events that are coming up, and I want everybody to be aware and mark their calendars. The first one is the Caring for the IHP Tree Canopy. We have a wonderful free workshop that is scheduled for March 26th, Thursday, 7 p.m., right in this room. There's the information right there. We want to help learn together how we can protect and grow the Indian Park's tree canopy. This free workshop covers our urban forestry plan. For those of you that have been to our meetings, you're aware we do have an urban forestry plan that we are updating. We want to talk about the health of our tree canopy. We have maps and we keep track of it. And we want to share practical ways residents can care for and support trees, including invasive plant removal and other stewardship efforts. We will have a video that was produced by our Public Works Department and our arborist tree consultant. They did the video today on how to remove some of these invasive plants. So that video will be available at that evening and as well on our website, and we will be also, we'll have the meeting, this workshop will be available for replay on YouTube. So if you can't make it, we would love for you to be here in person to have a dialogue and discussion, but it will be available for replay, and you can watch our Public Works and our tree consultant remove invasive species. So come join us March 26th, 7 to 8:30, right in this room to talk about our beautiful tree canopy. Secondly, our annual Easter egg hunt is 4/4/26 in Black Hawk Park. We are going to have 5,000 eggs that we will be putting out for our children. We have an egg hunt by age at 11:15, so please be there promptly and bring your own Easter basket. We have pony rides, a petting zoo, and pictures with the Easter Bunny, and we'll have our scavenger hunt. So it's a fun event. Even if you don't have little ones, come and join us. Hopefully it will be a beautiful day for all of us to enjoy. And last but not least, our congregate lunch. We have a wonderful grant from the Lyons Township Mental Health Commission and Aging Care Connections for a monthly congregate lunch, which is on the third Thursday of every month at 1:30. The topic for March is going to be hearing health. So they'll have a discussion on hearing aid maintenance from the team at Costco. And also we will have a full lunch for those participating. So please join us. The other thing that I need to do is discuss the Arbor Day proclamation. So we are dedicated to our trees. We are part of the Arbor Day Foundation, and we are a tree city. So I am going to talk about the proclamation. Whereas Arbor Day was first observed in Nebraska in 1872, with the planting more than 1 million trees, has since grown into a nationwide celebration, recognize the importance of trees in our communities. And whereas trees are a vital natural resource that contribute to the beauty and character of the village of Indian Head Park, while providing environmental, economic, and social benefits. And whereas trees improve air quality, conserve water, reduce soil erosion, moderate temperatures, and provide habitat for wildlife while enhancing property values and the overall quality of life for residents. And whereas the Village of Indian Head Park recognizes the importance of protecting and enhancing our urban forest and preserving our natural environment for current and future generations. And whereas Arbor Day provides an opportunity for residents, schools, businesses, and community organizations to plant trees, care for existing trees, and increase awareness of many benefits trees provide to our community. Therefore, I, Amy Jo Wittenberg, President of the Village of Indian Head Park, do proclaim April 24th as Arbor Day 2026. So we will have tree planting and supporting efforts to protect and enhance our community's tree canopy. So is that when we're planting the trees, actually, Joe?
Yeah, we're planting on that day. We haven't come up with a species or a planting location yet. That'll be determined, but we'll have,
Okay.
yeah. We usually do a lunch afterwards as well.
Yeah, so we have our Arbor Day celebration, and then we have a luncheon to celebrate all of our people that are involved in trees.
That'll be at the Public Works facility.
Public Works.
Probably grill, something.
So please come and join us. We usually have, 15, 20 people that join us, so the more the merrier, we always say. After Arbor Day, I think now we need to talk about vehicle stickers as part of my report, and I think that Lucy will be providing that report for us. Lucy Saunders.
I work for the administrative department as an administrative assistant, and I'm here to talk about the scofflaw program that we have been running. Since the 2025-2026 vehicle sticker season began in spring of last year, 2,640 vehicle stickers have been purchased in the village. The total amount collected for all of the sticker season without late fees is $171,386. The late fees for the season totaled an additional $6,406.84. The revenue collected from this program funds the maintenance of the roadways that the village maintains. According to the Village Municipal Code, any vehicle with a license plate registered to an address in Indian Head Park is required to register the vehicle with the owner's information and have a vehicle sticker, or in the case of motorcycles and scooters, a registration tag affixed to the vehicle. Prompted by concerns about how many vehicles were here in Indian Head Park without stickers on them, earlier this year, we commissioned and received a report from the Illinois Secretary of State with the vehicles that have license plates registered to addresses in Indian Head Park. We compared that report to the vehicles that were already in our internal database, and based on license plate and address, disregarded vehicles that were already purchased, that had already purchased a sticker for the current season. This resulted in 692 vehicles that did not appear to have a sticker issued to them. From that pared down list, the third week of February, letters were sent to the 692 owners of those unstickered vehicles. The letters notified the recipient that we had identified a vehicle in their name without a sticker registered to it. We asked owners to purchase a sticker if they knew that they had not, to contact us if they believed that they had, and we would look into the records, or if they knew that they had not updated the Secretary of State with their current non-Indian Head Park address or change in ownership of the vehicle in question, they needed to do so before we could remove them from our records. Owners were told that we needed a response and resolution by Monday, March 16th, to avoid a police citation. The letter has resulted in 91 stickers being sold since the letter went out as of 4 o'clock today. While that doesn't sound like a lot, the equally important outcome of this project is that many outdated records were removed and many discrepancies in license plate numbers were corrected. Any letters that were a result of an outdated or inaccurate records, of course, did not require a sticker be purchased. If the vehicle had in fact not purchased a sticker, they were required to register and were charged the sticker fee and a late fee. Next week, after the 16th, anyone from the original list of letters who has not responded by either purchasing a sticker, contacting us to update the records, or updating the Secretary of State's records and providing us with documentation of that update will be mailed a police citation for $65 in addition to the cost of the sticker and its late penalty. To get the issue resolved before a citation is issued, our office is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m.
The letter has our phone number, 708-246-3080, and also an email address where we can be contacted, vehicleupdate@indianheadpark-il.gov. We urge people not to wait until the last minute. Please note our office is closed on Tuesday the 17th because Village Hall is a polling place on Election Day. Once citations are issued, owners will be allowed to contact us with updated and corrected information in order to have their citations considered for reversal, and there will be an opportunity to meet with the village's adjudication judge to appeal the citations in April. The citation letter will include details about that. As a reminder, the current stickers expire June 30th, 2026. Sticker sales will begin on Friday, May 1st. More information will be provided at the next board meeting about the renewal process. Going forward, we plan on requesting this report from the state again approximately every 6 months. In the summer, after the 26-27 stickers go into effect, and around the beginning of the calendar year to make sure our records are correct and current. Because of the updates and corrections we've made in the last few weeks and will continue to make in the coming weeks, and by making it part of our routine in the future, this will lead to a more efficient process for everyone, as well as collection of the revenue from the program that benefits all the residents of Indian Head Park with road improvements, snow removal, and other public works projects.
Thanks, Lucy. One clarification. Are people able to go online and pay?
Yes, there is an option. I believe there's a link in the letter that was sent, or if you need more information, feel free to call Village Hall.
Thanks, Lucy. And just so everybody knows, Lucy has really driven this project. She's worked with our third-party, Third Millennium, who processes our water bills and has really been helpful. But Lucy has coordinated that all, and she's trained the entire front office staff, Andres, Brandon, and Jill, to answer questions and take payments and track all of this. And we're going to have a much more efficient and accurate system going forward, thanks to Lucy.
Thank you, Lucy, and the entire staff for doing that labor of love. That is a lot of work. Can I please have a motion for the consent agenda, please?
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All righty.
Would you like a treasurer's report?
I would love a treasurer's report.
All right, the financial summary for the month ending February 2026. Cash on hand at January 31st, 2026 was $2,404,905.51. The payments for February of 2026 were $412,865.99. The total revenues for February of 2026 were $420,878.38, bringing us to an ending bank balance at February 28th, 2026 of $2,412,917.90.
Are there any questions from the trustees on any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Svetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazus?
Aye.
6-0, the motion carries.
Great, moving on to new business. Can we have a motion for item E, please? Oh, all righty, we do not need a motion. Can we please have the presentation and discussion of the tentative 2026-2027 budget? Gavin?
Okay. The proposed budget that's in front of you projects general fund revenues of approximately $3.45 million and expenditures of approximately $3.83 million, resulting in a planned use of fund balance of approximately $373,000. And you can find that summary on page 42 of the packet. While the budget is presented as a deficit, the village currently maintains sufficient reserves to support that planned use of fund balance, including approximately $152,000 that represents a transfer to the capital fund for one-time expenditures. It is also important to note that the village uses a conservative approach to budgeting. Revenues are projected toward the lower end of expected collections, while expenditures are budgeted toward the higher end of anticipated costs. This approach helps ensure that the village remains financially stable even if revenues fluctuate or unexpected expenses arise. The board also recently adopted a budget policy that emphasizes maintaining a structurally balanced budget, meaning ongoing revenues should fund ongoing expenditures, while one-time resources should be used for one-time costs such as capital improvements. While much of the planned use of fund balance reflects those types of one-time expenditures, not all of the projected deficit is tied to capital spending. So staff will continue to monitor revenues and expenditures closely throughout the fiscal year. If adjustments are needed, staff will bring recommendations to the board as part of our regular financial reporting. And we'll also communicate that with the Finance Committee and go through with them our scenarios and possible responses and get recommendations from the Finance Committee before we come to the board. Acceptance of this tentative budget tonight begins the statutory adoption process. The next steps include posting the budget for public inspection, holding the required public hearing on April 9th, and then final adoption by ordinance at that meeting. This item is presented for discussion and direction from the board tonight, and staff is available for any questions.
Any questions at this time? All righty, hearing none. I guess that is, what is the schedule for the next month then? Let's go through that real quick.
So we'll have this available at our front counter, so anybody from the public can come in and request to review a copy. And it will also be posted on our website. We'll take feedback. And then at the April 9th meeting, it'll start with a public hearing about the budget, so people can make comments or ask questions. And then the board will consider it for a vote to approve the final budget.
Great, so you all have a month to take a look at the document and give us any feedback at the public hearing next month. And then, based on your feedback and any questions from the board, we will vote on this budget in April.
I think we do need a motion. It says that there's a recommendation from the staff that the village board accept the tentative budget for 2026 and authorize the document to be posted. Can I make that motion?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I move that the village board accept the tentative budget as presented by Gavin and authorize that the document be posted for public review during the month.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Good catch.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Trustee
it.
Saldana and Trustee Eck with the second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Svetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazzis?
Aye.
6-0, the motion carries.
Great. Moving on to another discussion item, a proposed ordinance amending zoning code regulations for fences. Can I have a motion for that? Do we have a motion for that?
If the purpose of the agenda item on the fences is just to discuss. Is exclusive discussion, you do not need a motion to begin that.
Okay.
Because we're still amending it, we're still updating.
I can't find that.
That's wonderful. So we're going to be discussing the proposed ordinance amending the zoning code regulations for fences.
Thank you.
Uh,
Is this Andres? Are you going to be doing this, or Gavin?
Well, we decided tonight would be a good night to talk about fences, so. I guess just to start from the beginning, the purpose of the ordinance is to establish clearer standards governing fence height, materials, placement, drainage, protection, and permitting requirements. The proposal also considers allowing compatible residential fencing along major roadways, which may improve privacy, safety, and usability of residential properties located along those higher traffic corridors. Our goal, or the goal of this whole project, is to create a consistent regulatory framework that balances residential needs with broader considerations such as roadway visibility, drainage, and infrastructure access. This item is presented for discussion and direction from the board, so we're looking for you to give us direction. Andres will go through some of the outstanding questions that we need direction on specifically, and you're welcome to add any to those. And Andres is our chief answerer of questions. So, Andres, if you want to give any other introductory comments before they get started, go for it.
Yeah, that summarizes it pretty well. We've talked about this issue considerably, so you're all very familiar with it. As Gavin noted, that there's really two outstanding questions that staff still needs direction on. One is along major thoroughfares or roads or the streets that were recommended by the Plan Commission, those 5 streets. What would the village like to look for fencing in there? How that looks? But also the other one is whether not along those corridors, not along those streets, whether the village board would like to look at adding fencing into other residential areas that are not along those corridors. So that's the direction that we are still looking at, still looking for at this point, because the ordinance we provided you is a very generalized ordinance, which, as you've noticed, does not state where on the property, what yards on the property that it can be allowed on, when not referencing those major streets that we said. And that was because to give the board the most option to decide what yards they can put them in. So,
Well, the current ordinance that I read in the packet does say where the fences would be for people on busy streets.
correct. So yeah, in the current ordinance for the one in the busy streets, because we had that direction from the Plan Commission and then some of the feedback from the board on it, it was for those properties that are abutting on it.
And the ordinance actually establishes what does that mean. The actual yard that runs along the busy road.
Correct.
So it is in the draft.
Right, so
We're still amending it, but.
Well, sorry, let me be a little clearer. So for that part, yes, we did have that. We just wanted to make sure that the board wanted that. We looked at that and said, okay, this is the direction we want to move forward. For those properties that do not touch those streets, that is where we need the direction on. If the board would like to have it, those residential properties that don't touch those streets, if the board would like to have them allowed, and if so, what yards they would like to be allowed in so those are the two directions.
Okay, so for purposes of making sure everyone at this meeting tonight knows what's in the ordinance, can you please review what is the current ordinance for fences on busy streets? Would you mind going through that?
Proposed ordinance?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, so the current proposed ordinance, to give the kind of general fence requirements overall. So this is on the packet as well on page 73, but I'll give an overview. So the current ordinance establishes basically a baseline for fences that are maximum height of 5 feet. The materials must be constructed of wrought iron, aluminum, or other corrosive material. Fences that must be flat-topped. The location of the fences must be entirely on private property and set back a minimum of 3 feet off the public rights-of-way. For those fences that are not adjacent to any sort of public rights-of-way, along shared property lines, so that'd be fences that are, on the property lines interior. They can, if they get written approval from the neighbor, it would allow them to be on the property line. If they do not get written approval from the neighbor, then it would be 3 feet off the property line. So if you have 2 neighbors and they both agree on it, they can put the fence on the property line. If they don't, it has to be 3 feet off. And then one of the other requirements, of course, is that the plat of survey is provided as part of it so that we can see that.
400 square feet.
So there are standards in there as well for gates, for those properties that abut those roads that also have driveways on them. So they cannot swing outward
Just right at
into a sidewalk or a public right-of-way. They must be 36 inches to clear it. For any vehicle gates, so any driveway gates, they must be at least 10 feet off the right-of-way, so vehicles will not be stopped on the major roads. They must they must remain operable and may require self-closing and latching mechanisms for safety. So if they have an incline, we want them to be able to self-latch. And then they can't impede emergency access. So that was the general for those gates. Now, along those designated roads, like I said, we outlined them here, as well as for what the Plan Commission said. So those roads, to be absolutely clear, would have been Wolf Road, Plainfield Road, Willow Springs Road, Joliet Road, and 65th Street. And then for other residential properties that we're talking about, we were looking at, the part of the direction was to look at interior yard enclosures. So looking at enclosures in the property that have those, that would basically be larger, like dog runs or small play areas. They would be only permitted in rear yards or interior side yards. They must be located 5 feet from the rear property lines. Must be open fencing material such as ornamental metal, vinyl coated chain link, or welded wire. And then the maximum enclosure size was to be limited to 400 square feet. Now, these are not traditional fences. These are more for, like I said, like animal or play areas. And also, there was very provisions about those fences, any fences or any of these types of structures not interfering with drainage or stormwater infrastructure. They would also be able to be permitted in easements if they do not, in drainage and utility easements, only if they don't interfere with the easement's function. It's also at their own risk if they put them in there. So if the easement's needed and needs to be removed, then it has their own risk. And then, standard permitting type language in there that has to get a permit, has to be approved, has to go in certain areas, et cetera. So that is what's currently in the proposed ordinance in front of you.
Okay. So do we want to start the discussion of fences on busy streets and cover off on that first? Trustee Saldana?
So, based on the survey and the discussion by the Planning Commission, the idea that I seem to understand from that was that people were amicable to having fences or fence enclosure of the yard that would run along a major street. If a house is in the corner of 2 major streets, well, then both yards or one solid space that faces those 2 streets. But that the survey that was let out and the discussion from the Planning Commission was a little bit more on the fence about having fences inside any other properties that were not abutting a major street. So that's how we based the draft of this ordinance, to have fences on designated roads and not no perimeter fences on non-designated roads.
But just to clarify, because when I read the ordinance myself, it wasn't clear to me. Let's just speak about fences on busy streets for a moment. So, did you have a diagram that you
Yes.
put up? So just so I just want to make sure we're all level setting on what this means and it's hard to visualize. We're more familiar with these discussions potentially than the people at our meeting this evening. So fences on busy streets have been discussed by the Planning and Zoning Commission as well as the board. The discussion has been about safety for residents on busy streets, for the actual area on the street. But then there's also been discussions about fences between homes. So can you, Christina, please go through in the current?
So the current way that is described, there are several issues in the ordinance that still need to be very clearly defined. Where does the fence stop once you go around enclosing the yard that abuts the main road? We have the little corners.
Trustee Saldana, you keep saying the yard that abuts the main road. This language, per what's in front of us, says, and again, I'm putting my lawyer hat on, and under the proposed ordinance, full perimeter fences in residential districts are generally limited to properties, doesn't say yards, located along the major arterial roadways and designated by the village board. Wolf Road, Plainfield Road, Willow Springs. We keep saying, and this is, again, Commission said fencing. The last meeting, we discussed about a full perimeter. Now we're going to yard. This does not say yard. If I'm an attorney, which I am, and we can ask counsel, but we need to be clear as to what we want and what we don't want. The way I would read this,
Are you reading the summary or the actual draft?
the draft, the Saldana draft, which draft are we talking about?
They
In the packet.
returned another one after I sent it
By
out.
the,
they
by
returned
the consultant.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going off the summary, this full perimeter.
Yeah, no, the summary is just, it does not complete.
Okay, then,
yeah.
go on.
So,
That's fine.
Well, and that's why we're talking about this, right? The reason why we're talking about this very specifically
it says it's not permitted.
is to make sure any of these little nits and grits are decided upon, so we have the board's concurrence on what it is that we are agreeing to.
So the ordinance that was returned is extremely extensive, very clearly defining what is going to be fenced.
Can we have a
And
copy
it
of
still
that?
needs, I thought
It was in the
if they
packet.
didn't print it, no, it's not in the packet.
It's not in the packet.
That's the problem. Oh, there it is. It's just a little bit further.
Yeah,
Is this it?
it is,
In the packet?
yes.
Yeah, it's in the packet. It's in a separate, where did you get it?
Oh, here it is.
Was an attachment to
It's
an
the bottom of that.
Oh, no, it was in an email. It's not, they didn't print it.
It says ordinance, but it's really the summary.
Yeah, no, there's one that was emailed, and it's more complete.
You want to see, Jim, you want to see?
Is it in our,
But it's not
Electronic board packet?
finished.
No, it's not in there.
Yeah, they didn't put it in the board packet.
so it's the one we got a few days ago?
Yeah.
While you're looking at that and you're talking about fences on streets, were you also going to talk about fences on the perimeters not related to Indian Head parks such as LaGrange Highlands and shopping centers and things like that? Is that going to be part of the conversation too?
I think we're
At-
just starting right now with fences along the major
Yeah,
roads.
we're trying to
That's
take
not
this
gonna
in
be-
order. So
Yeah.
the first thing we're going to talk about is fences on busy streets.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk about fences in residential areas.
Right.
And then thirdly, we'll talk about any other things that we need to clean up on the parking lot. So we'll do whatever you think on commercial areas, we'll have those discussions third, because we need to start, we have to start somewhere.
Sure.
So let's start fences on busy streets,
Yeah.
okay?
So the point of the discussion is that even though they returned something that was supposed to have the correct language, there's still points in there that need to be defined and clarified, and that's why we're having the discussion. So the point is, do we have fences? Do we accept the fact that we will fence the yards that are running along a major road?
So here's my question after listening to Jim, is it would just be that part of the property facing the road?
No, it will enclose the yard. That's why we have that.
Each yard?
You have one of these?
So there, I can't see that far, sorry.
You have one in front of you, so you can see a little bit.
We got it.
You got it? I think that's the biggest part to understand it, visually understand it a little bit more.
So, got it.
No, I have this, but I guess, I'm looking for the language that says yard abutting. Fences abutting properties, fences between abutting.
It's actually
So
called something
just-
else. Hold on.
Go ahead.
What's the rationale behind that?
When I wrote it, it was in there. I don't know if it's
I
in there.
believe, and I think this is what we're getting clarification for.
It's called
The
flankish-
rationale is, this
flankish
is the
yard.
part of the property that actually
Flankish yard, the side yard
touches
of
that
a
specific
corner, it shouldn't
busy
say corner.
street.
They
So
should have
for
not
instance,
put corner,
if you
of a
take
lot
look
that
at the
directly faces
corner
a
one
main
in
road.
red,
Yeah, well,
every
this
part
is-
that touches
Messed it up,
the
that's where we
busy
have to clean
street
it up.
is where
I
you
did not say
see
corner,
the fence
of
line.
a
And then
lot.
it comes in, the front driveway is off
It's
the
a called
major
a
road. So the
flankish.
fence actually comes in.
It would be a
at
flankish
the-
yard.
Would be like the side
Hey,
side
Jim,
back of the
Jim.
house is where it ties in.
Oh, I know.
Then the neighbor to the left of it, the one in blue, that looks like that's their backyard. So their backyard is fenced from the very back of the house to, I believe that's the perimeter of their property line, down to 3 feet from the right-of-way of
So-
the busy street.
So if you're living on a major street, your fencing in not just that portion of your property that faces the major street, but also the sides of the property that go back.
You're enclosing the yard.
You could.
It's got to start and end somewhere. You can't just have one strip
Well,
of fence up.
you could. We talked about that today.
If they
So
want
if
to.
you wanted to have one fence at the
Yeah.
end of the yard or the front, you could.
You can, yeah.
The question is,
enclose it.
or you could enclose it.
Exactly. That's what's been permitted.
Or you could do nothing and not have a fence.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's good, and I think,
Okay? Those are the three options.
Andres, I think that would have to be clearly listed.
You don't have to listen,
You
because
don't
you're
have to?
permitting it.
You're permitting it.
Permitting up to enclosure.
Live along,
yeah, to-
Wilfred, what's your feeling?
I was like,
Okay.
yeah, to-
So, but before we talk about opinions, we need to talk about what is it that we have just discussed.
And again, I still do not think it is clear. We have four different things we're talking about. We're talking about fencing along the major road, arterial roadways. One, non-enclosed. We're talking about enclosing the flankage yard or whatever the definition in the,
Which is what I'm questioning right now.
enclosing it from whatever part of the house, so just on the yard, on that abutting property that
Exactly.
is next to the major
A major road.
roadway. I'm talking about a perimeter fence on that lot. And then we're talking about, what was number 4? There was another one.
No, we're talking about if you have a lot on a busy street, you may have a perimeter backyard fence, according to what we just discussed.
Wait.
If-
Back,
If it abuts or
No, that's-
regardless?
On a busy street.
it's.
The property
But that's
or
not,
the yard?
Both is what
not
she's
the whole
saying.
property.
See, we're talking about two different things. Christina,
I'm not talking about a corner lot right now. I'm talking about a lot.
we can talk about,
Pull that back up,
Up, please.
gentlemen.
This
so
isn't
everybody
that,
can
guys,
see.
this isn't this complicated.
does not show a full
But the
perimeter yard
whole
on.
perimeter
yes,
of
it
the
does.
whole
Yes,
property
it
or
does.
just the yard? That's what he's confusing. He says the whole property. And, or the
All
yard.
four.
Or the
There'd be
backyard.
four-
Well, back or front, whichever is in
Yeah,
there.
thank you.
Yeah,
So
whichever goes along the road.
The blue one is what you're speaking of, and you're asking, is it just the backyard or the front yard, depending on if your
Depending
house
on which
faces
one.
out, it would be the front yard. If it's the backyard, it would be just the
Just the
backyard.
backyard.
And you're saying,
I'm
could it
saying-
be the whole yard?
I'm saying whole yard. I guess, to be clear.
No, you're
I'm-
saying the whole property. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm saying
The whole
I'm
property?
saying the yard that is fencible on the entire property,
Yeah, the property.
in its entirety, I
But you're talking
guess.
about the entirety of the property, that's actually prohibited in this ordinance. It
Where?
says it says
Currently.
no perimeter of the whole property. It says in the ordinance.
It's,
So
And
the
what we're
purpose-
looking at?
it's under section 3, item B, interior, not perimeter.
Non-perimeter.
That's for interior lots.
Yeah, actually, he's right. This is
It's
only
not,
for interior.
so the issues, not to confuse the issues, but we want to be completely clear and transparent. We're talking about now solely, the way it's written, and I know it's a draft, but if we chop it up in the drafting, we're going to have a harder time going to
Okay.
the next.
I understand, guys, but let's stay on this topic first and clean it up. Then we can have it
So
written.
this is not what we had in the original draft. What they took out the perimeter prohibition.
So Jim's
Not only
right.
that, but
Correct, but what is
there's
it-
another change in there.
Okay, what is it that you guys want? Do you want a perimeter fence, or let's decide on what you want or don't want?
What you're suggesting to us.
Correct.
Not what you want, but what you recommend.
What you're suggesting. I want the board to start making
I'll
some.
start as a resident, and I would like, what I would propose, what I would like in the proposed ordinance, speaking only for lots, entire properties that abut these major arterial roadways, I would like an option for a perimeter fence on the entirety of the property for those abutting properties, not just the yard that abuts front or back, the busy road. That's what
Okay.
Jim would propose on the major roads.
Okay.
So I understand, just help me understand, Jim. I understand putting the fencing on the major roads completely. I'm wondering what the rationale for putting it on the whole perimeter of the property when nobody else in the village can do that.
Well, that's why we're having this discussion in the first place. And a very wise man who I believe speaks to, the center of the community, and he's in the room in the back. Why change? Status quo should be the norm unless there's a reason for change. So why are we even having this conversation? We're having this conversation because the hardscape of our community is going to be changing, we think, if there's money in the budget on these major roads. Even though it's right away, it's coming closer to these yards. The community has changed. A lot of younger families. You can make a property value argument. You can say it's my property. Property values have gone up. We don't know that that's true. Do fences increase property value? Do they decrease? Arguments can go both ways. There's a safety issue. There's an aesthetics issue of the community. You knew this was the ordinance when you moved in. So my reasoning is, based on all those things, on these arterial roads and major roadways, I would want not the fencing, not just the front yard or just the back. I would want the perimeter on those properties.
And what's the rationale is my question.
You asked me what I wanted, that's my rationale. The rationale is my property value is probably higher on Wolf Road if I'm able to fence that in than not.
Well,
Okay, well,
I guess I'm
So I can make a property
confused.
value, I can make any argument.
Okay.
The property, safety will be increased for my kids, my animals, my dogs.
okay.
Aesthetically, if we make the restriction, if we make the ordinance clear enough, I think we're kind of, a 5-foot wrought iron fence, aluminum fence surrounding a half-acre lot is not something people are just going to do lightly. It's a huge undertaking. It's expensive. I don't think we're going to have fences all over the community. I'm not saying that I would even have a fence. But that's the rationale is there are people that believe their property value would be increased. There are people that believe their safety would be increased. And there's people that just want the fence because they're paying $30,000 in property taxes.
Okay, well, thank you for that opinion. So let's talk,
it is
let's
an
talk
opinion.
about the opinion now. What do the other board members think about that? And let's get to
I would
some-
like to make sure that we still give people the opportunity to feel safe on the major roads because of that, but that the characteristic of our neighborhood, the way we enjoy our neighborhood, stays as a forest. And so that's why the only fencing that I would like to allow through an ordinance will be because of the major road, but not the whole area of
The whole parcel.
We still have to see that. We still have to see it on the other side. It would be like living in a, what are those, gated community. They gate the community, but inside there's no fences because everybody feels neighborly and have trees and it looks like a little forest. So that's what I would like to see. That it's still, even though we are fencing the surrounding area because of the Mayor Road, I still drive in and see the whole forest that I live in.
So your point is that you would prefer to have a front, whether it's the front of the house or the rear of the house,
That
the
abuts
fence to be, abuts to the home back to
But
the
it
busy
ends.
street.
It
It's
ends,
not a parcel perimeter fence.
exactly.
Okay.
And you're imagining it enclosed, but just enclosing
Only
either
enclose
front
the yard that,
backyard,
yeah.
or side yard,
Okay.
1 yard
So
enclosed.
let's understand how people feel about that. So trustee Inako, what is your feeling about that?
I can understand both logic. I don't know if it's necessary to completely enclose an entire property. I'm more than okay with just having it be fenced in along those major roads. I think my other part will come later on in discussions on what else could be, but,
Okay. Trustee Saldana, I think we know your preference. Trustee Eck, your preference?
I haven't made up my mind on it yet.
Okay, so you don't have any opinion about whether you would want it to be a perimeter fence on the whole parcel, which trustee Gazis discussed, or whether it would be what trustee Saldana discussed as the back or front yard?
I haven't made up.
Okay. Trustee Donnersberger, well, we're not asking you to make up your mind. We're asking you, do you have an opinion? We're not asking for a vote. We're asking for an opinion. We're having a discussion and dialogue now. So if you're, we'd like to understand where your feelings are.
You got him.
Okay. Trustee Donnersberger?
I think I'm with Christina, but I'm looking at this diagram, so I have a question. So the diagram has like the blue and the red, those are fences along the main area, but they also go back, but not, they go back on the sides, but not in the back. Is that what I'm seeing?
So what you're seeing is.
A
If
corner
you,
lot. Isn't it a corner lot?
Like
No,
the
no,
cor-
but not
the-
the blue. The blue and the green are not.
the blue and the green, that is the yard still within the property that could be considered the yard that runs along. So you're enclosing that yard. That's why it goes back to enclose it. So if you let your dog out of your back door, the dog doesn't have anywhere else to run but inside the yard.
So is it fenced on all four sides?
On all four sides of only the back of the house.
Well, that's what you're talking about.
No, the whole house, the whole
He wants
parcel.
to do the whole property, all the way to, all the way.
So if it was Jim's, there would be a red line around the whole property.
Do the lot she's looking
No, well,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, that's-
the lot she's
So
looking at.
if
I
Jim,
must be done.
what Jim's talking about.
He would do the
this
whole
line
thing.
would
And
come
so what
here
is
and
this?
Just the back or the front of the
there. That's
yard?
just the backyard or the front yard.
Okay, while Eileen looks at that,
Include the-
Trustee Svetska, what is your feelings right at this point?
So I understand both of the discussion points. I think the one thing that comes to my mind, looking at the diagram that's currently displayed, if I was a homeowner along one of these streets, and I'm not, and I was wanting to install fencing for security purposes, my concern with the way that it's currently laid out, encompassing only the yard that abuts the street, is that someone could then just walk around the corner of my lot and now have access to the side of my house. So I think if I was a homeowner that was living along one of these streets and security was my concern, I think that fencing the perimeter of my property would give me more of a feeling of security. But
Okay.
once again, I am not a homeowner living there, so.
Okay. And Trustee Gaddis, do you have any more things to add?
No, but I think I'll have more to add. I'll have more to add when we talk about the interior lots, because there could be a scenario where originally we brought this up to accommodate people that are in the major roads, but it ended up that we may end up being more restrictive for those lots than we would be on a lot inside.
Yeah, so let's cover off on the first item first.
Perimeter on the major roads, I am, my opinion, property value, safety, freedom of use of, the home. I'd like a perimeter. My opinion is that I would like a perimeter on the entirety of the lot, if I were to choose that, on the major roads.
Okay. Gavin?
Well, before we move on from this and this question and this diagram in particular, the yard on the corner, and I know there aren't very many parcels that are in this exact situation where they abut two major roads, but there are some.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, at least one.
Yes.
Yeah, that one. And I want to make sure that we have clarity from the board. Do you want this where it's technically this red outline is 2 yards that are enclosed? Or do you want to limit it to just one or the other? Like language that would say 1 yard?
No, have to be
Yeah, I
both.
think the purpose of this is so every part that abides the major road is covered.
Okay.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure y'all.
Diagram shows 2 scenarios because of the language that still needs to be put in the ordinance, which is the technical specificity of where the fence, when it turns, touches the building. Does it touch the building on the line that is the furthest point of the building from the front, in this case? Or, for example, if you see the fence that goes around and almost touches the blue, it goes a little bit further. And so I put those 2 scenarios in there. So either that one that touches the blue would have had to end at the other line of the building, the one that is closer to the street, on this side, just like it does on the other side. So I put the two scenarios there because we need to actually specify that in the ordinance, should we decide to only enclose the yard and that runs along the street. Words that say enclose the yard that runs along the street doesn't say what the specs are. So we would need to specify that.
So I'm thinking of like Jim's property, the fence would not be on the road. His driveway, it would be from the house to the back. Is that what we're saying?
No, it will be on the
No.
front in his
The
case.
front of his house, in this drawing, he would have a fence and a gate because he has a driveway.
Yes, yeah, and two
Okay.
entrances. Yeah.
He'd be fencing in his driveway. But what has currently been discussed is, there's several trustees that think just his front to his house should be fenced.
Yeah.
Jim's position is that his entire parcel
I get Jim's
should be.
position, but I was.
So there's two
struggling-
different positions that we're discussing.
Yes, I was struggling with where the fence would be in properties like Jim's, and now I get it. And
So it's 10 feet from the, what do you call it? The, 10 feet from the county's,
Road edge?
the road, no, it's not the road edge, it's
The
the
right-of-way.
right-of-way. So it's 10 feet for any gate is 10 feet from the right-of-way.
Motorcycle, but it certainly wouldn't cover a car.
No, but you still
But
have
the
the
reason
right-of-way.
for that
You
is-
still have the right-of-way.
Yeah.
Right. So
So the
for
car,
visibility
so the
and
car
safety.
is not sticking out on the street. So now it's 10 feet plus the right, huh?
You're pulling in and you gotta open up the gate?
Yeah, you have 10 feet plus the right-of-way. You have
She'd
10
have
feet
13
plus
feet.
another 10. Your right-of-way is almost 10. So you have 20 feet and you're not on the road. That's the point.
20 feet is your front.
Andres, just to clarify, when you stated that the gate would have to
You
be
have
accessible for emergency, would that mean at the end of the night, you couldn't put a lock on your gate? What would you mean by that? Can you clarify?
That's why we need this 10 to make sure that they.
I mean, it just means that there would be some sort of mechanism that that anybody that has the emergency for it can use it. So a lot of gates, if they're mechanized, they'll have some, like a code or something that then responds to the police or fire
feet is
to
a
open it. You could lock them,
a
but,
lot.
you know, like, there's very different ways, whether it's just a manual or an automatic for them to be accessible. But when they put the gate in, then that would be part of that would be
A pickup truck is
is
like
making
14
sure that
feet.
it has that accessibility feature for it.
Okay, and then the other thing, just to clarify, obviously, you know what the look of the fence is, but should there be a specific color? Like, is it a black wrought iron aluminum fence? Is it silver aluminum? What, is there a specific color? Is it bronze? Is there a color that we should make sure that's in here as well?
I thought it said black architectural aluminum fence, but we can certainly add that.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's
I'll
just
say
so it
that
doesn't
wrought
stick out.
iron tends to be black, but.
Right, I know
and-
it does, but I
alright.
mean, if we're
And no,
going
that's a
through
good,
it,
that's a
should be
good
clear.
point. I think it just was a kind of Scrivener error, because in our code currently for our fences that we do allow, they all say black
Okay.
wrought iron architectural. So that's a Scrivener error. We can put that in there.
All right, I just think the fact that it's black wrought iron should be in there, because there's
Yep.
different shades, different kinds.
Yes. Any other questions? I know you had some, Anthony, others too.
When we get to the next
Okay.
section.
So any other questions, trustee?
In that 10-foot section, you got 10 feet, plus you got 10 feet.
Can you put your, please? Thanks.
If you have an F-150 truck, that's 21 feet. So that means you're going to have a foot sticking into the street. So you got a technical shortage, I think, there.
Well, we'll certainly note that. I'm not sure we do, but we can talk about pickup trucks and other things.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. Any other thoughts on that?
Not on that.
Okay. So any other items to discuss? So I feel like we have three people that seem to be okay with partial, and I think we have two people that may be perimeters. I'm not going to speak for you all. And one is undecided, which is fine. So we need to give instruction to Andres to be able to edit the proposed ordinance so that we can come back next month and further discuss this and potentially vote on it. We don't have to vote on it, but we want to be spending our time so that we are making some progress on coming to some kind of conclusion. So what else do you need to know, Andres, so that we can clean up the ordinance just on fences on busy streets? Is there any other questions, any other things that we need to clean up in your minds so we can go forward in having our consultant help us write the code that will project our feelings about what we want?
Well, I would ask that we have the second discussion as well.
Can you put your microphone on, please?
It is on. I would ask that we have the second discussion as well about the non-major road, arterial road lots, because I think it might provide some clarity on this part of the discussion as well.
Yeah, we're going to have that next. I just wanted to cover off this first.
Okay.
We're going to, trying to put some focus around each item so we don't start complicating it so much that we confuse everybody. So if there's no other questions on the busy street fences, I think now we're going to talk about the internal residential parcels. So what, Christina, just because you were sort of taking the helm over there, what is currently in the proposed language? Or Andres, would you like to go through what's in the current proposed language?
So fences on residential areas that are non-designated, and that are not on designated roads, are only permitted, are not permitted, but there is a permission to build a non-perimeter enclosure for inside the yard of their choosing.
The backyard?
The backyard. Well, I said of their choosing because of how some houses are skewed. So, yeah, what
It's
we consider
enclosed
the backyard. yeah.
400 square feet, it said in that
But
one?
it says 400 square feet, and originally, I thought we already permitted 400 square feet, so we need to change that, don't we? Or was it 72?
It's 75, yeah.
It was 75, okay. So we need to decide if 400 square feet is, I think, a little bit of a way to limit it, but we could also do a percentage of the yard,
So I have
which
an
will
idea.
make more sense.
So I have an idea that I sent to all of you regarding your partial rear yard fences attached to the principal structure. So we've had discussions with residents about their needs for safety for children and for pets. And that's why we have a provision in the current code for dog runs. So the idea in the current version is to allow a 400 square foot attached
It doesn't say attached, so we have to fix that.
fenced area. And when I looked at the different yards or lots in the village, 400 square feet for some very small lots could be very large. And then for some very large lots, large lots, which we have those city lots on Sacagawea, on Sequoia and Hiawatha, have very narrow lots, but they're very deep, extremely deep. So my idea that I proposed is to allow a partial rear yard fence. Right now, we do have partial rear yard fences for pools. I believe we have 25 pools in the village now with partial rear yard fences with screening.
I'm not sure the exact number of it. That was the number of special uses that were provided before the code was changed to allow them by right if you are putting a pool in.
Correct. So this is something we have had, partial yard fences for pools, but this would be for the express, so that was for safety, right? Safety for water, for our children not falling in the pool and all that. So this would be safety for children and pets. It would be affixed to the backyard of the home. And I suggested, just because I started looking at the land viewer, 15% of the total rear yard area, calculated after required setbacks are applied. So for some yards, if you looked I think you might have a diagram, but it's not imperative we have it. But 0.15, there's another one there, of a 3,000 square foot lot would be back attached to the house now. So let's just say, for instance, someone had a beautiful unilock patio with a grill. That happens to be the Hiawatha lot. It would be 0.15 of the entire square foot. But we've been having some discussions about setbacks.
Just real quick, as staff discussed this, what we realized is that this would put the fence into the required setback that in each lot in the village has a certain area where you cannot put an accessory structure such like a freestanding fence would be. So the staff's proposal to get at the same concept would be to use the setbacks and just say that's the limitation on where you could put a fence like this. And we would also ask that it be required to be attached to the home. You know, it would go to the rear wall or the wall of the yard that it's built in.
Well, yeah, we might, sure.
Yeah.
If I might.
Trustee Eck, do you have
And
something?
Andres can.
Yes, speaking for Ashbrook, the actual lot size is about 5 feet from the building, but the common area goes about 35 feet to the next site. We have about 65 dogs in Ashbrook in both the townhomes and the single-family side. I suspect that there would probably be interest on a number of townhome owners to have some kind of a lot for the dogs in townhomes. I'm not sure the townhome board would agree with that, speaking as president of the board. But that is a possible issue that I don't think has been addressed when we're talking about areas off the main streets, and would suggest that that might be something that we should be taking a little closer look at, because we've got townhomes in north of the main roads and south of the main roads. You've got
Well, excuse me one second. The HOAs do not approve, they do not approve fences now anyway. So why would this be any different than, we have dog runs now?
Well, that's another issue on fences. I'm told that if we border an area that is not part of Ashbrook, that we could put a fence up there.
Right, that's a different
possibly.
issue. That's a different issue.
Well,
I said, well,
you just said we couldn't do fences, but that's a possibility,
I'm
right?
talking about, you cannot in Ashbrook put a fence up in a backyard right now in an interior lot.
The
You do not
HOA would
allow
have to
that.
change
The
its
HOA
rules.
does not allow that. Same thing with Acacia,
Yeah.
same thing for Chestnut on the Green, same thing for all of Anthony's, okay? They do not allow that.
Well, they might want to change it if the single-family homes are doing
I
that.
understand that.
Is this something that
I'm
we're going to
saying-
want to address?
I'm saying, right now,
Yeah,
you don't allow dog runs. We allow dog runs. You
Yeah.
can make that decision.
that's right.
Okay, so you will
Yeah.
have the right to make the decision based on the policy that the board approves. It will be no different than it is today.
Yeah.
So you could have had dog runs in your HOA, but you probably said no to that. So let's stick to where we're at with the logic. So I understand that it could be an item that you want, and you can make that decision at your board of directors meetings to vote on that, yes or no. So let's get back to this idea of using a percentage to allow not a 400 square foot attached fence area, which was currently in the current version that you all got. Is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Does anybody like the 15% attached to the back of the house so a patio could be enclosed? And then use Gavin's idea so we don't have a huge one of these for the large yachts,
The
lots.
15% would be a maximum, though, right? So like somebody could be like, well, that's cool, I could use the 15%, but I really only want 12% or 10%, right? Yeah,
Yes.
it could be smaller, right? Okay.
Go ahead, Andres.
Can I
And I don't
interject?
know if that's the right percentage, guys. I think that we have to do some investigation to see to Gavin's point.
Consultants that will come back and
Correct.
say, this is the average, this is what we found.
Correct.
I think it's also assuming that we all agreed that we should be allowing fences in the interior, and I'm not quite sure.
Okay, well, right. We're understanding that, but what we're saying is, there was an idea presented in this version that allowed a 400-foot attached structure. So what we're asking the board right now is, just like we did for fences on busy roads, how do you feel about that? Do you like that idea, or do you not like that idea? And then the second discussion is, do you think we should do this percentage? If you do like it, should we use a percentage or not? So, Trustee Gazis, do you have an opinion about this?
I have an opinion. I think one size does not fit all, obviously, the uniqueness of the community. If we are going to limit interior fencing to this concept, dog run, patio, et cetera, I think a percentage of the backyard space or backside yard space makes more sense for the reason President Wittenberg said. 400 square feet on a smaller lot, on a pie-shaped lot, might be an eyesore, whereas might not be significant enough for a half-acre, three-quarter-acre lot. So I think a percentage makes sense. Is 15 the right amount? Is 12? Is 20? We can debate that. To Eileen's point, some on the board may not want any of this at all. Some may want the accommodation 400 or some percentage thereof, and some may say, let the owners do what they want in their backyard and allow a full perimeter fence in the
Okay,
back.
so what else is your opinion? Is that your
My opinion
opinion?
would be to allow, per the wrought iron 5-foot specs that we've been tossing around, I would allow the owner to put a full perimeter fence in the back per those specs, as there are pools that are well beyond 400 feet, and there are yards with pools that are not just fencing in the pool, they're fencing in the entire yard. So enforcement's going to be an issue too, but I can't sit here and say, Trustee Jim, who lives on Wolf Road, should say, fence in, I'd like my whole yard fenced in, but Trustee Saldana or Amy Jo or Danielle that are not on an arterial road should be limited. So I'm not going to be hypocritical about it. If it's good enough for me, it's good enough for thee. Maybe we don't want them in the front, but we should allow people to, again, for their safety, they know better what they want in their home and around their home for their property value, their safety, their enjoyment. We're not letting people put up these fences that, all kinds of different chain link, ugly fence. It's going to be a standardized, nice architectural type product with 50% visibility. My opinion would be to allow these people in their backyards to fence in the entire yard if that's what they want.
Okay, Trustee Svetka. Thank you, Trustee Gazis. Trustee Svetka.
I'm okay with a percentage. Also, just a correction, I think it's not wrought iron, I think it's some other.
Aluminum.
Yeah,
Usually.
non-rusting material.
Yes.
So just to keep that on the books. But yeah, I'm fine with the percentage.
Trustee Donnersberger?
I'm still nervous about allowing any fences on the interior. What I would think about is if somebody comes with, I think we should define if somebody comes to us and they want a fence, we've got so maybe for dogs.
Well, that's what we did with this smaller percentage.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this attached to the house, a percentage of the overall yard. It's for kids and dogs. And it was a different idea that was presented because we currently allow dog runs.
So it's just going to change the whole image of the suburb that we're in. I mean, it's going to change. It's not going to be the natural setting that it is now that's been attractive to so many people. And, talking about home values, I don't know, I guess I'd need an analysis to find, but I know in Ashbrook, we don't have any trouble selling the homes there sold before they even go on the market. And I think that's pretty much all over.
Right, but you guys have made that decision, right, to not have any fences, so you can still make that decision in your HOA. So you feel like right now.
I'm talking about the whole suburb.
Right, but you're saying you would like to just keep it the way it is right now?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Eck?
I'm inclined to support Eileen Donnersberger's views
Okay.
in that regard.
Any other comments?
Plenty, but not
Okay.
on this subject.
Christina?
So for full disclosure, I didn't want any fences at all. but it's not, I'm not here representing me. And that's why when I saw what I saw happening, I decided that I could help write an ordinance that would satisfy the needs of the majority. And I saw the majorities, and I wrote it as the majorities. People needed a fence along Mayor Road, and then I saw that people needed something that they could build possibly in the back, but, you know, without disturbing the forest that we live in. So that's why I wrote that. So personally, I don't want any fences, just so you know. But I'm not here representing me. And so in representation of the totality of the, I would like to give the people the opportunity to have an attached to the building area that they can feel comfortable letting their dogs out, gardening, or having their kids enjoy themselves on an enclosed area.
Thank you.
My opinion is that I think, unfortunately, in Indiana Park, we don't have two lots that are the same. So to allow for X percent or X square feet, I think it just looks aesthetically silly. I think that if you're an interior, you should be allowed to fence in your entire backyard, attached, up to perimeters, whatever we decide. I just don't agree with the way it'll look if we do percentage. And if you take Arrowhead Trail, those lots are a lot smaller than others. So 15% to them could, and if it's attached, could really be basically nothing. So for me, I think if you're going to allow a fence in the whole backyard, but then that brings us back to point one in the gym and enclosing the whole property. If your front yard faces Wolf Road, but you'd also like a backyard fence, that's where I think, I would believe, in my opinion, you can fence in your entire perimeter.
Okay.
And just to follow up, so let's say we allow a percentage of fencing for interior lots. Are we going to allow that for the major roads and arterial lots as well? Or are those people, let's say Sandy's in the audience, she is one of those examples that's on both, right? I have an intersection in front of my house. I'm on one, but it's almost like a corner scenario, right? Depending on which side of the driveway I go out on. But that's what I mean is I think we have to coordinate part two with part one, or we may end up being more restrictive on the major roads and arterial roads property owners than we are on the interior property owners.
Well, I would like to understand that a little bit better.
If we say 400 square feet or some percentage is allowed on the interior.
On the backyard.
Is that allowed for me?
Yes,
Okay, so that's included.
yes.
So you could have, just so we know, for the purposes of getting the ordinance you're asking for, are you saying that we would, on the major arterials, we would allow to enclose, a fence to enclose the yard adjacent to that road and allow a enclosure in the other yard?
So
Is that
that's
what-
why the language has to be very clear. The yard that is now facing the interior of the property, that is now an interior yard, whereas it's the front or the back. In his case, his backyard would be considered to be facing the interior or the residential area.
And you
And
would
that's
allow-
why he will get a partial one. And in the front, because his front house is on a major road, he will get that.
I just wanted to
Fully
make sure I
enclosed.
understood that.
I would argue that when people filled out this survey 6 months ago and you asked them, should fences be allowed on arterial or major roadways, they weren't thinking of fencing just along the road, and they weren't thinking of just a front yard fencing in one's driveway if you face Wolf Road like mine. They were probably thinking perimeter fence, but that's my interpretation. No?
Well, I don't know if
Maybe
we
not.
know that at this point, but I will say that it is important for all of you to look at the verbatim comments that were provided by our community. And if you haven't had a chance, they're on the website, because there are a range of opinions on this topic.
And I would venture that because of those opinions, it caused so much confusion. And in the discussions in the planning and zoning, they were talking about standalone fences because they thought that they could only approve a fence that ran along the front of the
I don't
house
agree that
without.
that was the case. Being in
No.
all those meetings, I think the case was that they didn't want any fences, and they were trying to do what was as minimal as possible. I don't think they wanted any of it. They just
Okay.
felt like they
Well-
had to do it. So my opinion, again, I'm not going to editorialize. Everybody knows where I'm at on this.
Yes. So now that we've gone through the two items, we've gone through the items of fences on busy streets, and now we've gone on interior fences. Is everybody talked about what their opinions are there, and do we need to talk any more about what we direct staff to do? Now, there's been some discussions about commercial fences and perimeter fences regarding PUDs. I believe that's what Trustee Eck wanted to discuss, yes?
Two things. Two things. One, on the perimeter fence, Andres and I have chatted about that. If the association wanted to put a perimeter fence along, we've got some of our area is alongside LaGrange Highlands. We could put a fence there if the association voted for it. I think we've got that provision now. Is that correct?
To clarify, because Ashbrook is a PUD, it is already a special use. So if you came and petitioned to the village to allow for a fence, a subdivision offense, for lack of a better term for it, that you could get that when going through the process.
Yeah, and there's other associations that are bordered on other non-Indian Head Park neighbors as well.
That's always been legal for PUDs.
Right.
That's
So-
not been
Yeah.
a change.
Yeah.
There
okay.
are.
So do they need to go to planning and zoning for that?
Yes, because they need to amend the special use that makes their PUD. Planned unit development is considered a special use under the zoning code, so they could come to us and they'd come to this planning zoning and say, we're going to amend the PUD to provide a subdivision fence here. They would review it, give the recommendation, go to the board. Board would give the final decision on that.
And Andres, can you just clarify, is that the same type and style fence that we're talking about that would run along major roads, or could that be a different looking fence?
That can be anything that the board would then decide to allow. 'Cause if
The
they-
board being the board of that HOA or this board?
That board.
Okay.
So, and I wanted to point out, well, one of the two things about properties that border non-Indian Head Park areas, really, the only two areas that border them are not PUDs, and that is along 65th Street and Willow Springs Road right there in Bartlett Estates and Arrowhead Trail. Everything else is a PUD or bordered by the interstate or Plainfield Road, which is as good as a fence at that point.
Just
So-
not on the green, don't they border on the golf course?
They do, but they're a PUD as well.
Yeah.
So there's that. And additionally, kind of what Trustee X comments earlier about commercial areas, in our ordinance already, we allow for fencing as a special use along those that separate residential areas from non-residential areas. And in those two areas that, in the village that have them, behind, the Bartlett Estates and Brookside, and then also Osceola Trail and the Triangle, those are both solid wood fences because they're meant to provide screening, provide blocking of light and activity. So they're a different level of privacy because we're having a non-residential activity bordering a residential activity. So
So this ordinance doesn't need to address any of those issues? Okay. The other item that I had was in regards to materials on the fences. It says, and again, this is on the March 10th email from the mayor. It says fences must be constructed of wrought iron, aluminum, or other corrosion resistance materials approved by the village administrator. I would be looking for something specific that would be finalized that the board would have an opportunity to sign off on. So it wouldn't be something to be determined. It would be something that we would look at and say, this is what our fences are going to look like.
Hey, Charlie, how much more specific do you think they can get with that? It's pretty specific. Outside of a color, it's pretty specific. I mean, I guess, Andres, could you bring in a sample?
Well, yeah, I mean,
No,
have you been to Timber Trails to walk around and seen all of the black fencing? That's what we're speaking about.
Well, this says wrought iron or aluminum. Pick one.
Well, they don't
No,
use
no, no,
wrought
we-
iron anymore.
Yeah, no.
They use aluminum now.
Have to allow it.
So we can cross off Rhode
Yes.
Island?
I would assume you
Right.
can.
And that's why I asked earlier to clarify the color, because those can come in different colors. But
Correct.
Yeah.
Danielle earlier clarified that it would be aluminum, non-corrosive. The wrought
Yeah.
iron is gone. But that's pretty, I mean, there's really no,
It's still available. It's
Yeah,
very
it's-
expensive, but it's
it
available.
is. And then the other thing is, this would be flat, no spikes.
Yeah, that's clarified there, too.
Right.
But is that what everybody wants?
I think that, I mean, my opinion, I think it's
Height?
aesthetically nice.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see, and,
Okay.
you know, that's
But Andres,
that's part
maybe
of
we.
it. Thank you.
There's a couple local, maybe we bring in a sample for people to see, if that's really what would help.
The way it's written, though, it says or corrosion-resistant material, because materials could change over time, over the years. There could be new products available. As long as
Titanium.
if it looks like the previous, then
But Gavin, it would have to
Christina
be.
could 3D print for us
I
a
could
fence.
3D
Right.
It also says approved by the village.
Right,
So it'd have
but no matter what the material, it would have to be corrosion resistant.
Right.
Whatever the
And-
materials in 15 years, it would have to be corrosion resistant.
And really, this comes down to an administrative decision. Does this meet the requirements of the code? And if it does, then we would approve it. If it doesn't, we wouldn't approve it. It wouldn't.
Could you use PVC?
If it's
There is another scenario regarding the property lines, regardless of where these fences are. Requiring approval of your neighbor. Now, more often than not, if Danielle and I are neighbors and we both decide we're going to put up a fence and we're both on the major road, we're going to probably share a panel, perhaps. If we don't get along, then she goes 3 feet in, I go 3 feet in, and there's 6 feet in the middle of unkept, whatever. And to Charlie's point, if the materials do change, whatever, and I do mine 5 years later than she does, and they're similar, not the same, height will have to be the same. I imagine 5 feet is good, right? Is that we're kind of on 5 feet, but then there's a middle area that's not kept by anybody.
No, it
There's
has to be
fences
kept,
that-
it has to be kept by the owner of that lot.
But
But
what
it's
Jim's
Just
saying-
No,
like
it's in the
now,
ordinance.
things
It
are,
has to be.
again, it would have to be.
Yeah, it's kept.
I mean, this
Right.
goes in the city all the time, guys.
Yeah,
This is
it's
not a
done like
unique
that.
Well, I'm
concept.
just telling, the thing about it is we're not going to, we can't put it on the property line, right, theoretically?
Yeah, no.
That's what you want. So, but there's going to
3
be,
feet seems like a lot.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it
you
is what
can
it
mow
is.
it, because if you don't think, how do you mow it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about, I lived in Chicago all my life, and
Chicago has smaller lots.
well, what does that have to do with where you put the fence?
Trustee,
So
Dun-
there's a
Property line to property
possibility
line.
to share the line.
Correct.
Or 3 feet apart,
And-
because
and I-
someone has to, you have to maintain the lot.
And I suggested that they do it the way in the city you do it. You share one of the
Share-
sides
Right.
with your
You have
neighbor.
to share it,
Yeah, right.
and if the,
So I
if
think
the neighbor doesn't
That
want it.
should be in there. However,
So,
Are you saying we should take out the 3-foot
No,
setback?
no.
if there's-
no,
okay.
but if the
Because-
parties agree to share, they share,
They
and you
can
have
share,
one.
Yeah.
so may I,
it's the
It's
issue
in
where the
there. The
parties do not
shareable
agree
part
to
is-
share,
Right.
where
Yeah.
we're going to have this eyesore. Like, everybody's concerned about aesthetics,
Sore.
but then, all of a sudden now there's a property rights issue. I don't want it, you don't want it, whatever. I want it later than you do. Now there's 3 to 6 feet in the middle that are, and again, yeah, they're supposed to do it, but how is that going to look when you have fence,
But
3
it's-
feet fence?
Guys,
It's
people do
exactly
this
what we're
all the
trying to
time.
avoid.
All the time.
Like
It's done all
14
over.
municipalities around us have fences,
That's
and they
exactly
deal
how
with
they
this.
do it, yeah.
Right,
And
so,
It's not going to be mine.
may I offer you my experience in this?
absolutely.
Thank you. So when I was previously in Burr Ridge, as part of my duties, I actually approved fences as they came in. So the first thing I'm going to touch on is that 3 feet. The reason that 3 feet is important is because if it's a foot, if it's 6 inches, the people putting in fences tend not to be as accurate as we would always like them to be. And there has been cases, luckily not when I was there, but there have been cases that I've encountered before of that fences 6 foot, a foot over the line just because of topography or because people can't do a straight line as well as you'd hope they would. And now you have someone who's encroaching, a property is encroaching on another one, and that becomes a big deal about things. So 3 feet, they really shouldn't miss by 3 feet. If they miss by 3 feet, that's a big issue.
that's another good argument for no fences.
So the other the other point is to Trustee Gaddis's point is yes, they do have to. It has to be upkept between it, and so yep, it's the same. But I mean, we will approach it in the same manner as anything everyone's lot has to be upkept. If it's not upkept, then they get a letter from us or a knock on their door and say, hey, that grass needs to be cut and needs to be fixed. They don't get it fixed, either we'll cut it for them and then charge them for it. And we do not use the cheapest landscapers out there. Or we'll just take them into administrative court and then they get charged $75, $125 per day that it's over there. So there's many administrative ways. In this community, I actually don't see it because the lots here are ridiculously well upkept. I'm not going to lie to you on this. I've written 2, 3, maybe 3
So there's a
code
house
letters.
down Wolf Road on 70, is that 3rd? Are you guys citing them? 72nd.
Which side?
Why don't we talk about that offline, Eileen?
Okay.
Okay, so getting back to the point about the 3 feet, can we ask Brandon, who has done the survey that we had done a long time ago, if 3 feet really is a standard, so we can understand that? I think it seems,
But let me,
so can we just confirm that and make sure that that really is a standard?
here's another scenario. If I'm living next door to Gavin, and I put up a fence and it's 3 feet into my property, and he doesn't put one in, he's just gained 3 feet.
Correct.
So
So we're going to discuss that.
I would like to say most of the municipalities, a 3 feet setback was very typical, but there were municipalities that did like 1 foot. And there was even one that did less than that. Yeah, 3 inches at Orland Hills.
And where?
Orland Hills?
3
Okay.
inches, did you say?
Yeah.
So we have some variance there. We will look at that, and we will, the data's there. So the matrix that Brandon put together is on the website. If you guys want to take a look at the comparisons for 14 different municipalities, it's there. And this is being done in 14 places where they have fences and they have policy about fences, and it's all over the place. So that's why we're trying to create a consistent policy for Indian Head Park. So we had other issues that we wanted to get on the table. We've talked about the issue of fences on busy roads, fences on interior lots, and we've talked about Trustee X's feelings about the PUD fences that's already been a part of our current policy. Is there anything else that we need to cover off on? Because what we are going to request staff to do is to prepare policy that will be changed with our consultant to come to the board next month. We're also going to have a chance to hear from the community, because we're going to have public comments tonight. We'll have public comments next time so that we can hear their opinions about what we've been discussing today. So are there any other comments regarding this right now that we need to cover off on? I don't want anybody to leave and feel like they haven't had their items brought up.
Can we send out some kind of a special notice to the residents that we're going to be discussing it at the next meeting, and if they have an opinion, they should attend?
Yes, I mean, we put an agenda up public on every time,
Yeah,
so,
But
yeah.
reading an agenda is different than a flyer.
sure.
Yeah.
We'll put a news flash out.
Yep.
Absolutely. Any other comments before we leave this topic? Staff, do you have any questions that you need answered from the board before to do your assignment?
I think that's been covered. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we are moving on now, since we do not need a vote on anything, for item G.
Move approval of Resolution 2026-07, authorizing participation in the Regional Disposal Program.
Second?
It's
Gavin, would you please review the RDP, please?
So the Regional Disposal Program coordinates regional contracts for waste transfer and disposal facilities to ensure reliable and environmentally compliant disposal capacity for participating municipalities. Our village attorney is currently reviewing the terms and conditions of the agreement. But with the board's approval tonight, once he's satisfied with the agreement, the village president will be authorized to execute the agreement on behalf of the village. Participation in the regional disposal program is going to be required as part of our franchise agreement that was approved by the board. And because of the RDP and us signing up for this program, that is the reason the prices were what they were. It really made our prices much more competitive than they would have been without requiring that the hauler take all the waste to the regional disposal program. And this is a program of the West Suburban Solid Waste Agency, and we are members of that agency.
Does the board have any questions about the RDP?
No, I think.
All righty, hearing none, then I think we need a roll call vote.
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Svetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
6-0, the motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item H, please.
Move approval of Resolution 2026-08, authorizing participation in the Suburban Tree Consortium.
Second?
It's a draw. I second.
So this is a cooperative purchasing program that allows municipalities to jointly procure trees from regional nurseries, resulting in lower pricing and improved availability. Our participation will help us maintain and expand our tree inventory in a cost-effective manner while supporting the village's forestry and tree planting initiatives. Joe's here to answer any questions.
Any questions on the tree consortium?
Yeah, my only question is, like, hypothetically, we have a lot of HOAs here. If they wanted to add trees, or if a storm came through and they needed to replace trees, would this be something that they could use?
Question I can certainly ask them once we become members.
We will definitely ask. That's a great idea, because we did lose a lot of trees in our EF1 tornado.
Right.
I have had questions asked before and tried to point them in the right direction to help, but this will probably expand that so we can get some other answers for them.
And then with this, would recommendations of trees that would do better in our particular area be something that they would advise us on as well?
We're pretty much there already with that. We try and put in trees that'll, be resistant to salt and so forth.
But you mean the HOAs, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
they're needing help for the HOAs.
yeah, I guess the question is, like, for instance, I hate to take like ours, I don't know, one tree from another, right? But we've put some trees, there's been some trees that we've had that were put in that just didn't really last. You come to find out that they're just not
Not native to our
not
area.
native to our
yeah,
area.
Yeah.
So if we were part of this and used it, would they also help guide in what trees we should be replacing?
Sure, you can even
Okay.
call me on that one.
Oh, you could?
Because we're planting 25 plus more trees again this year, and we try and stay with the trees that are going to make it.
Okay, thanks.
Or you could come to the Tree and Landscape Committee and talk to us about it, too.
Sounds like, Anthony, you need to come to the tree workshop on the 26th. Moving right along, if there are no other questions?
Yeah,
Do you have another question?
no.
Then
Need a
can we
vote.
please have a roll call vote on this item, please?
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger? Trustee Svetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
6-0, the motion carries.
Great, moving along to item I, please.
Move approval of Resolution 2026-09, authorizing the village president to execute a professional services agreement for redevelopment of Sacagawea Park.
I'll second that.
Brandon Fleischer, our administrative intern, has been an integral part of this project, so I would like him to introduce this item for you.
Before you all is a item which allows the village to enter a professional services agreement with Planning Resources, Inc. Planning Resources, Inc. is the same company that we worked with back in August, who helped us apply for the OSLID grant. Since then, we have received the grant, and we are further expanding our contract with them. They would help us design and refine the development of Sacagawea Park, along with helping with bidding assistance, permitting coordination, and other services. The agreement would cost $99,169 $1,000,000.39 in total. However, that money is also able to be eligible under that OSLID grant that they helped us receive. So we would be able to pay some of that with that grant they helped us with.
Any questions on the professional services agreement regarding Sacagawea Park?
Seems expensive.
I do have a question. When can we expect some draft proposal from them once you engage them? What's the possibility?
We have a master plan.
Ready.
This is for Sacagawea Park.
Yeah, for Sacagawea.
We have the master plan that was submitted as part of the OSLAD grant application. We got $385,000 for the project, and this contract before you is for everything from the final design project.
That's what I mean. When could we
And
see a final design or
there is a timeline for that, but it goes this project, just to explain why the price is $99,000. It goes all the way from the early design phase to letting the bid to doing the construction management. This is
Turnkey.
turnkey. That's the word I was looking for. This is a turnkey proposal.
Do you have the timeline in front of you, Brandon, or not?
Unfortunately, I do
I'll
not
pull
have the
it up.
timeline
Yeah,
in front of
we'll
me.
get that for you,
just
Christina.
what's the
Yeah.
rough expectation of when will we be approving a final design?
We'll let you know.
Okay.
So Gavin, what you're basically saying, this is like a general contractor for Sacagawea?
Yes.
Okay, that makes more, but they're not the ones that are, this doesn't include the actual.
They're not
building or-
doing the actual
Right,
construction.
they're just managing the
supervising
project
it.
for us.
Right,
Correct.
Right.
Understood.
And ballpark of the total amount for the project was
Just under $800,000, 750.
That actually,
not bad work
that
if you
sounds
can get it,
correct.
right?
Yeah, 10%. Yeah, that's fair. That's exactly.
And Gavin, can any of that grant be used for this, or that grant is?
Yeah, it's,
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, I missed that. Okay.
yes, all of it
the
can be
grant
used for this.
used
Yes, it's a 50/50 grant. 385, we don't have, it's 50/50. We don't have to spend all that money,
To
depending
answer-
on the design that we ultimately land on.
Yes. We won't let you add any to that. June it looks like, is when we'll have the design.
This year?
Yes. So we have 2 years to spend this money.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we need to get moving.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Hearing none, can we please have a roll call vote?
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Zvetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Moving along to item J, please. Can I have a
Move
motion?
approval of ordinance 2026-06, amending Chapter 28 of the Code of Ordinances regarding solid waste.
I mentioned earlier, sorry.
Second
to-
by Trustee Gazis.
I mentioned earlier the franchise agreement that you approved previously. This ordinance will clarify how that franchise agreement interacts with our current village code. Specifically, it establishes that if any provision of the village code conflicts with an approved franchise agreement, the franchise agreement will control. This issue ensures the village's ordinances are properly aligned with the recently approved waste hauling program.
Great. Any questions on that? Hearing none, can we please have a roll call vote?
Trustee Iannaco?
Aye.
Trustee Saldana?
Aye.
Trustee Eck?
Aye.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Aye.
Trustee Zvetka?
Aye.
Trustee Gazis?
Aye.
6-0, the motion carries.
We are now on item 7, which is public comments. Can we please have any public comments? Come to the podium, please. Absolutely.
John Corcoran, 6417 Apache Drive.
I'm not, it doesn't sound like it's on.
There we go. Better? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Wow. That was kind of hard to keep track of. And I think that might be the first point, is maybe the original founders knew how complicated it would be, and no fences is the right answer and has been the right answer. So maybe there's that to consider. Couple things. The proposals for along the main roads. My interpretation from the analysis and the recommendation of planning and zoning was that that was for fencing along the roads, not even side yards. Granted, that might be tough to manage, but I don't think there was any contemplation of whole perimeter fencing. Secondly, they went through the process and chose not to recommend any changes to the overall, kind of interior property. So I think we need to consider that. On the main road, if we allowed the full perimeter, it could create a loophole for those with frontage onto the main roads. They could fence in their backyard. Yeah. Really doesn't address what the thought was to allow some type of separation from a busy road. They would just get the backyard that they wanted. The dog runs, is that a solution in search of a problem? I don't know if, yeah, you're right, it's already fixed. Do we need to do more? I would, if you're considering full perimeter fences, I would go back to what I've said in every meeting. There is a way to preserve some element of what makes the community unique, and that is setbacks and significant setbacks. Set up paths for wildlife to get through. We talked about Arbor Day. There was no conversation about trees. How are trees going to be dealt with when fences impact them? Just the last thought, I say there was so much, and I appreciate the conversation, but none of us bought in any of those 14 surrounding communities that have fences. Right. So that says something. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I always follow Lori Davis, 6482 Apache. I just want to reiterate everything that John said. What was the purpose of the survey if we weren't going to listen to what the residents want, especially the residents west of Wolf Road? I don't quite understand. And again, we moved here knowing we couldn't have a fence. And like John said also, we're a very diverse community in terms of lot size, 7,700 square feet on one lot on Mohawk Court. Mine's 9,800. And then we have a couple lots that are over an acre. So we're not a one-size-fits-all type of community. Thank you.
Anybody else that needs Sandy?
Will it stay? Okay. Sandy Hayes. I agree with fencing along major streets, not closing any property, no interior fences. If there are going to be dog runs or little attachments attached to the side of the house, who's going to monitor that? Will there be permits that have to be gotten by the homeowners to make sure that they are staying within the perimeters of what you might suggest?
Yes, this is a policy and an ordinance, so it will have to have permits, just like all construction and fences.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public?
Joe Cesari. I think what the board is discussing here will change the whole character of the community.
Sorry, could you state your name and address, please?
Yeah, Joe Cesari.
He doesn't have to do his address.
He said no address.
Oh, sorry,
previously.
name, sorry. Thank you.
I think what's being discussed has the potential to change the whole character of the community. The discussion in planning and zoning was for fencing along yards that abutted major streets. Now, when we go into these elaborately sized dog runs that don't abut busy streets, they're in backyards, And we're going to have varying sizes because of lot sizes. We're going to have some people doing them, others not doing them. We're going to change the whole look of this community. It'll be changed forever. And we will not have the character of Indian Head Park as an open pastoral community. We're going to have a lot of stockade-like structures in our community. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Tom Davis, following up on the previous comments. This past winter, we had a wonderful view out our family room window. There were 4 deer that were resting in our backyard, and 2 more joined them, and they were there for hours, just enjoying and it's not heavily wooded by any means, it's lightly wooded. It was absolutely spectacular to see these animals. The fences that we're talking about, any type of a fence, whether it's a stockade fence or it's a wire fence, whatever it is, it's going to block all of that nature passing through our neighborhood, which to me is worth $1 million view, if you don't mind the comparison there. I think the notion of perimeter fences along busy highways, Wolf Road, Plainfield, Joliet Road, and so on, I think that's terrific. I don't have a problem with that. I have a huge problem, though, with the perimeter fencing. We're going to become Western Springs or Hinsdale or LaGrange. That's not what this village started to be. It was a park, hence Indian Head Park. So if you do fencing, just take the name park out of it and call it Indian Head, because you'll destroy the ambiance of the whole village. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we receive any email comments today? Any other comments before we move on to the next item? Thank you for coming this evening. We'll move on to reports. Trustee Gazis?
No report.
Trustee Svetka?
Nothing specific, just a reminder of the canopy meeting on the 26th.
Trustee Donnersberger?
Just a reminder of the progress the Economic Development Committee has been making in terms of a TIF for the Triangle area. Additionally, Heritage Center, are you going to talk about that? The Heritage Center site? So we're beginning to get drawings on what the possibilities might be there, and I'm excited about them. We will have a public hearing before we make any decisions, though.
Trustee Ag?
Thank you. April 8th will be the Finance Committee meeting at 4 o'clock. It'll be a final meeting prior to the formal approval of the next year's budget. There'll be some final tune-up type items that we'll be putting on. The public is always invited to our committee meetings, which are here April 8th at 4 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Saldana?
No report.
Trustee Iannacco?
No report.
Can I jump in here?
Oh, sure.
The next meeting of the Heritage Site Committee will be April 1st. And everybody's invited to join it. We start at 6 o'clock. It will be right here.
Village Clerk?
Just a brief report tonight. Besides the fact that we are getting into permit season in full swing, so if anybody is thinking, once again, of doing any construction or remodeling or anything, please come see us so we can get you permits. Once again, a reminder, we don't do roofing permits because, we had a lot of hail and wind will have coming up, so we tend to get people calling about roofing permits. We don't do a roofing permit unless you alter the structure of the roof. So otherwise, we are finishing up our review of Chapter 8, which is the business license section of the code that just hasn't been modernized, and with the help of actually Rick, thank you very much, we're looking at it with some new tools, clarifying some language, and making it more efficient, more effective to do what we want. So that's my clerk's report.
Thank you. Village Attorney?
No report.
Village Administrator?
Just a few items. One of our long-term goals has been to offer a high deductible health plan for our employees with a health savings account, and we are going to do that beginning July 1st. Our underwriters through our insurance pool ran multiple scenarios based on how many people go from PPO or HMO to the high deductible. And in every scenario, the village ends up saving money, and it will also save money for our employees. So it's a win-win situation. And again, we'll be putting out a lot of education to our employees exactly what this means and what the benefits to them are. We had a communications kickoff meeting. The board, thank you for approving of us hiring a communications team. Vicarious Media, and we've had an initial kickoff meeting with them, and we are next week going to have team meetings with each department with them, and then after that we'll meet on a regular basis to establish what messages need to go out, and they'll help us to develop the content. So we're off and running with that. Again, thank you for approving it. We've all, Chief Walsh will probably talk about some of the grant applications in the police department, but outside the police department, Joe is working with our tree consultant, Penn High, to apply for a ComEd rain garden grant that would help us to formalize a rain garden out in Black Hawk Park and help with some of the drainage issues there. We have applied to Congressman Kasten's office for funding, federal funding for some water main projects that we have as part of our 5-year plan there. We are applying to ComEd for the Safe Energy grant for display signs, electronic display signs. You know, we're not talking about big neon signs, just information boards really at the front entrance and the back entrance to entrances to this building. And finally, we're working on an application for an Invest in Cook transportation grant, so for some of our road projects.
Were you going to make a comment on some of the fee income on the waste management, the anomalies that we discovered?
Oh, yes, I meant to talk about this during the waste hauling. There are a number, we got a list of 18 households that do not have an account with SBC, so they're a little unique. These folks were just using stickers for their garbage. That is going to go away in the franchise agreement with SBC, and a number of those are no longer living in the village. So we're going through that list, seeing who is still in the village and how many actual households are not with SBC, and we'll be talking with you about how the board wants to handle that. We'll talk about that at the April meeting, because it's different than any other arrangement in the village.
Alrighty, how about department heads? Joe, Public Works.
Just a couple things. I'll try and keep it brief. As far as other things on trees, the Tree City USA has been pushed through. We're just waiting on the state level. It's just a formality at this point. We'll probably be Tree City USA again. I'm also applying for a growth award. I just need to get with finance, get a couple of numbers so I can get that in as well. So we'll be getting that as well. Already mentioned Arbor Day. The Morton Arboretum grant process that we started last year, we're going to start planting this spring again, start that process of getting, at minimum, probably 25 more trees planted, maybe a little bit more, depending on where my finances come up, but at least 25. A couple items, Strand Associates, our engineer firm, submitted a project plan to the IEPA for our 6 water main projects that we have. And it's been approved. We just put it in, advertised it on, in the Sun Times and on our website. It has to be on there for 10 days with the draft, and then we will have the final form of that. The purpose for this is it'll help us to get grants or loans, I should say, for water main projects coming up. Since the project's already in and approved, it'll make it easier for us to get a loan if possible, depending on how we score points-wise. Also, I got the permit from the IEPA today for our chlorine switchover in the pump house. The bid opening date for that is the 19th of this month. From what I understand, at least 4 people have pulled plans for that, so hopefully we'll get some bids on that and get that project going. Yesterday, I finished the Cook County Hazard Mitigation Report. We had a sanitary line that was plugged up on Keokuk. The resident reached out to us. We went in over there and broke that loose Tuesday night. Just standard blockages. Everything's running smooth now. Our salt order, we ordered our probably our last 100 ton for this season. That'll fill our dome for the year. And I have to get a hold of the county or this CMS for our next order for next year. And then our surplus to our squad, they're picking that up on the 16th. It's the old squad that we used. I sent Brian and Bobby to pipeline safety class. They got certified in that, so that was done. And we've been updating our GIS system. We have our storm and sanitary on our GIS now, and our next step is to do a zoning map that Andreas requested, and also our trees, and put that on our GIS as well. And that's all I got.
Were we able to get a pipeline layer for our GIS?
I don't have one, but I can request that as well.
That would be great.
Yep.
I think we have more pipelines in the village than we think.
I'll see what they have in the handout
Thank you.
wise, and we'll go from there, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Chief?
I had a lot of inquiries today. We had an accident on Joliet Road just west of Wolf. What happened was the driver stated that she dropped something when she went to pick it up. The traffic had stopped. She swerved to avoid it, rear-ended the vehicle, and ended up taking out the power line. So people were out of power for over 5 hours. The Wolf's Head Plaza was out, and finally Mead Electric showed up, and they got the stoplights up. So everything's up and running. But it was a long, long day for these people. Secondly, with grants, we're working on a body-worn camera, in-car camera grant. It keeps getting kicked back because the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board is requesting exact pricing on certain things that Motorola had put as included. So I've been working with Motorola, trying to get those exact prices so I can get this submitted. And I'm going to work with them again tomorrow all day because it's got to be in by tomorrow. Also, they never updated our training, so they said that we weren't eligible. The training has been completed. I've been working with somebody from the NEMR, which is the training center that uploads it. They are aware that all the training's been completed. For some reason, it's not in the system, so I got to work on that again because we did all the training. They uploaded most of it, but not the one. We had a training right here in this room for de-escalation, and that has not been uploaded, and I don't know why. Retail theft. We have $5,000 from 26, but they also want us to put in for 27. I want to put that towards surveillance. We bought some thermal binoculars. What's been going on is these gaming machines, the gaming machines all around Cook County and elsewhere have been hit really hard lately. I had a list that I provided, but unfortunately it was only up to December 24th. There's been so many other places that have been hit since then. I talked to Deputy Chief of Cook County. We talked about the pattern. They don't have a pattern, but they do have a task force. So they were out about 50 to 60 strong, and that's when it happened in Midlothian, where they were able to apprehend 3 offenders after a chase. That's one group. They think there's 3 active groups. If you see our cars at nighttime, they'll go patrol, but then they're to go back to these various plazas to keep an eye on that, because that's a major concern. We also
What is it they're doing?
I have them do their patrols, Charlie, and they go around, and if they stop cars or whatever, but after they're done, if they have any downtime, they're to sit in our plazas that have the gaming.
They're hitting gaming parlors and
Oh.
convenience stores
Okay.
Yeah,
that
they're
have
hit-
gambling.
Oh.
No, they're hitting them hard,
Yep.
and so,
And we have,
Armed robbery?
oh yeah, well, not what they sledgehammer, they call them the sledgehammer crew.
Oh.
They break in, there's about 6 strong, some have rifles and pistols, oh yeah, they're very serious.
they went into fajitas, 6 armed masked men.
Right.
Yes.
So they did catch the offenders in Midlothian after a chase, but our units are advised that they have to be there if they're not on something. STEP grant, which is Sustained Traffic Enforcement Program. Tom Morey, who's the coordinator, contacted Corporal Cassane. He wants to have a meeting either through Zoom or through in person to get the grant going for the next year as well. There will be enforcement from March 12th to the 22nd for the St. Patrick's Day period, and I'll report on that after. We met, Village, we met about union negotiations. We put together a few concerns of ours, and I did reach out to the union president on telephone, told them to please get some lists of concerns together so we can meet by the end of the month. What, 30 days, Mayor, was it? Now, I talked to Trustee Donnersberger about this because we were talking about court watching before. There's an entire family that's being harassed by a relative. Everybody in the family has an order of protection against the person. There was a status hearing on the 10th. The person has been remained in custody. However, we're concerned that a judge will release this person, and then it's going to start all over again. So anyway, I told Trustee Donnersberger, as soon as I know the next court date, have some court watchers and whatever we can do to keep this person in custody. The individual also, now there's, Majewski is supposed to go to the grand jury. However, the grand jury has not contacted him for a date. He did a search warrant for their phone. We have all we need for misuse of 911, which is a felony. If we can get the felony charges, we can keep the person. But it's a major concern, and they're living in fear, the family is, so we're on top of that. Gaming machines I talked about. Today I had interviews with Police Fire Commission. We had one candidate. There's another one that's interested, however, could not make the interview, so we'll reschedule that. But this candidate was excellent, and I got authority from the Police Fire Commission to give a conditional offer of employment. The reason for that is Paul Amos, which was just the whole beginning of it. Paul Amos, who was one of our officers from Georgia, his good friend became chief and asked him to go down and help. So he resigned, he's gone, so now we got to backfill his spot. So that's what the interview was for. And that's it.
Thank you, Chief. I think we're at the time of the meeting where we can adjourn, right? We have nothing else, so can I have a motion for adjournment? A second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming.